This is Straight Talk with Atlanta native Greg Penn, the Preacher Man, and his sidekick Shannon Jones. Frank discussions of issues affecting the ATL, Fulton County, the state of Georgia, the nation, and around the world. And now, here they are, live and in living color, the team of Jones and Fan, the Preacher Man.
Welcome to another edition of Straight Talk with yours truly, Greg Fan, the Preacher Man, and my co-host Shannon E. Jones, who will be coming on sometime. You know how Shannon is. He had a big day today. He was, and you know, this is pre-recorded. He presided over the services for the young lady who was killed by the officers in Hancock County, and the sheriff deputies who, man, I tell you, that was something else. The young lady that was, arrested and then thrown out the car. But Shannon will tell you more about it. He presided over that service today. He and Bishop Lackey, who is one of our dear friends, he provided, sometimes Bishop Lackey sits on the program, who read the scriptures. But I'm mighty proud of my friends, Bishop Lackey and Shannon E. Jones. He'll be talking a little bit about that and what's going on with the young lady and with her family and what they're doing to try to bring justice for her and her family. And you heard about what's happening with Breonna Taylor and her case too. We'll be talking more and more about that in just a little bit here on Straight Talk. Don't you go nowhere. We'll be back with more and more interesting conversation. Why don't you share? Why don't you like us? Why don't you make comments? Why don't you subscribe to our channel? Won't you do that? Share, make comments, like us, and subscribe to our channel. We'll be back on the other side with Miss C.
Hi, Miss C here with your 3-minute news blast. Hey, Greg. Hey, Shannon. Hope everyone out there is doing well. It's good to be back with you again. Listen, I've got a little news for you. Connections at Metropolitan United Methodist Church, 867 Metropolitan Parkway in Atlanta, celebrates their 5th anniversary in memory of Reverend Marita Harrell, August 14th at 10 a.m. Dr. Sherry Austin is senior pastor. The 30th annual Smoky Hollow Hood Drive Red Row Picnic will be held Saturday, August 13th at Perkerson Park, 770 Deckner Avenue in Southwest Atlanta. Come out for friendship, fellowship, and fun. New Hope Baptist invites you to their pastoral installation of Pastor-elect J.D. Flint, Sunday, August 28th at 4 p.m. Dr. R.L. White Jr. of Mount Ephraim Baptist will be the installation speaker. New Hope Baptist is located at 168 McIntosh Street in Whitesburg, Georgia. Now listen, if you'd like for us to announce your events, a family reunion, church reunion, whatever, we'd be happy to. If you'd email it to us at straighttalknews1362 at gmail.com. That's straighttalknews1362 at gmail.com. And listen, in the meantime, I'd like for you to do 4 things for me. I'd like for you to like us, subscribe to us, and there are some little buttons on the front of your screen that says that. And I'd like you to leave comments so we'll know how we're doing. And number 4, I'd like for you to share us. And I got all 4 of them right today. Do I get a smiley face, Greg? Bye, y'all.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, he has arrived. He has arrived from the service, from the event of today. Now, I told you this pre-recorded, and he presided over the service of Breonna Greer, the young lady who was, pull it over a little bit to your left. There you go. Cover up your face. Right. That was the young lady that he presided over the service where the Reverend Al Sharpton spoke, and our good friend Bishop Aaron B. Lackey read the scripture and brought the house down, I'm told. But anyway, Shannon, tell us about
Reverend Sean Smith.
And Sean Smith, Reverend John Smith from Black Push.
Black Push.
All right. So tell us a little bit about this service today, and tell us a little bit about the young lady and what's going on with the case.
Well, this young lady's name is Breonna Greer, our sister. She was in Sparta, Georgia, Hancock County Georgia, and she suffers from schizophrenia. And her family called for the police to come and or for medical services to come. They dialed 911 and they called for help. And two deputies came. From the looks of it, appears to be two African American deputies came. And she was in the middle of a mental health crisis. And so they were trying to get her into the back of a police car. And she was unwilling. And so they had to lift her and use force. They put her in the back of the police car as they were putting her in. She was saying she was going to kill herself. And they put her in and they closed the door. They put her in through the driver's side rear door. And then one of the other deputies, thinking that he was going to bring her over on the other side, bring her through, opened up the driver's side, the passenger side.
Right, uh-huh.
And that door was never properly shut. Then the officer, one of the deputies, was looking for Bluetooth for about 4 minutes of the 10 minutes of the GBI tape from the body cams that the officers used. When the officer got in the car to drive Miss Greer to the hospital for evaluation, when he got in the car, he was calling control to say who he had and what he was doing, and you could not hear a peep out of her. It was odd to me, Bishop, because moments before she was screaming, she was hollering, she was in the midst of this crisis. And then when he got in the car about 4 minutes later, she never said a mumbling word. The car, he drives off for about 20 minutes. He drives off for about 20 seconds.
Okay.
And then he stops the car. When he stops the car, about maybe 40 feet behind the car on the passenger side, was Sister Brianna Greer laying lifeless on the side of the road. They came and checked her, said she was breathing, but they checked her not with a space of humanity. And I'm an animal lover. I love everything. So, excuse me, it pains me to say this, but they checked her as though they were checking an animal that was hit on the side of the road. And she sat there with this hematoma growing on her, within her, and got to Grady Hospital where she was pronounced dead. The deputies at 6 a.m. go to the Greer home to tell the family that she kicked the door open. If anybody has been in a police car,
that ain't happening.
There are several well-known criminals that will tell you that you can't get out. And these are people who actually kicked the door. Right. But it seems that she may have possibly been lifeless inside. So I don't know if in the putting her in the car, just a little odd that we didn't hear anything out of her when she was so forceful going in the car. Okay. So today we had the services. The Reverend Al Sharpton came in to do the eulogy. Attorney Ben Crump, who is affectionately known as the Attorney General of Black America, was there and gave a plea for justice on today. And then there was a march. The family marched to the Capitol to talk to Pontius Pilate, Brian Kemp, to address the issues that they are, to address the issue of Brianna's case, but to address the issue of why this keeps happening in the state of Georgia. So this case continues, and they're going to the Justice Department on the state if the state does not really lean in to really do a thorough investigation and to bring justice in the case of Brianna Greer in Sparta, Georgia. The mother of Breonna Taylor came in town today, and several other activists from around the country were there as this family now joins this club, that used to be a small club, but it's a ever growing club that no family ever wants to join.
One of the things that I wanted to comment on what you said was that these two officers was black officers, and of course, in terms of justice is not blind. If you're wrong, you're wrong, and in this case, the officers just happen to be black, and sometimes when we make mistakes, it causes these kinds of things to happen. I don't think that they did it intentionally, but sometimes you're doing a job and you're routinely doing a job. Sometimes, you forget to do this and forget to do that. That's no excuse, and I'm not giving that as an excuse. I'm just saying is that, when you make a mistake, if it is a mistake, you have to deal with the mistake you made and the punishment that mistake brings. No matter what color you are, what your religion is, what your ethnicity is, any of those things, it doesn't make any difference. We have to deal with justice, just like we're dealing with the justice that we're dealing with the former president. And what bothers me, Shannon, with this, and we're talking about Breonna Taylor's case, how Breonna Taylor, how the officers were paid to do what they did because they were trying to deal with getting these people out of this neighborhood, black folks out of this neighborhood, gentrification.
Right.
And we've seen that even in our city where blacks have been forced out of legacy blacks have been forced out of community. We have a former mayor who lost his election because of something that had happened similar, and the family came and talked, the wife came and talked about how he had said and told them that they were not going to kick them out of their home or take their house to public domain, but then they went on and did it. So I'm just saying is, it doesn't make any difference. Wrong is wrong and right is right. And what happened to Breonna Taylor was wrong. What happened to Breonna Greer was wrong. And if it happened to your child or happened to me or happened to somebody else, it's still wrong is wrong. And
That's right.
and if we're going to stand up for what's right, we got to stand for right and what's right in all cases. Just like, and I'm switching gears to our former president. And it really burns me up when people can call Donald Trump President Trump still, and they can't call President Obama. They call him Obama. They can call, and this man who is trying to overthrow the country, this man who has lied, deceived, used deception and every trick in the book, and you still want to call him President Trump. You still want to call him President Trump. But a man who did some good things for this country. He didn't do everything right, but he didn't bring shame to this country, and certainly did not try to overthrow the government. And certainly didn't do that. But you can't call him President Obama, but you can call Trump President Trump. I mean, it just burns me up.
The Trumpers didn't see him as a legitimate president in the first place. Remember the birther movement.
Right. Right, I know they did not, and still don't, and
that was Donald Trump.
And
Donald Trump was the leader of the birther movement.
He was, and this whole thing about Obamacare. I mean, it's just it's health care. I mean, this president, this former president,
Affordable Care Act,
who has taken over this Republican Party, who has divided this country, and this is me talking as a minister. The Bible tells us a house divided cannot stand. If this nation continued to be divided and allow this Antichrist, and that's what I'm calling him, this Antichrist, to continue to spew out this poison and to spew out this mess that he's doing. I got a thing today from, I know you know his name. He's an evangelical minister. Ralph
Jensen Franklin.
Ralph. I can't remember his last name, but he's with the evangelicals, right? Ralph.
Yeah.
Ralph Nader. Is it Nader? Ralph? Not Ralph Nader. Ralph. I got something today.
The one that was leading the.
and anyway, I threw it in the trash can, and the reason I threw it in the trash can because his whole message is he doesn't agree with everything Trump said. He wished Trump would say some things he said, but he believes in Donald Trump. He believes in Donald Trump, even after all of the things that Donald Trump has done, all the things that he's done. Ralph Reed, that's his name, Ralph Reed. I was just looking for Ralph Reed. Yeah,
who led the political movement.
Right. He believes
in the 90s.
He believes in Donald Trump. He believes in everything that Donald Trump is under four different investigations. Four of them. Three criminal investigations and one civil investigation. And then you can still say, Mr. President.
Can still say Mr. President. Don't forget, Jensen Franklin put out something. Reverend Jensen Franklin, for all of our listeners that on Sunday morning like to listen to Jensen Franklin, he said he can't wait for this government, this current administration, this incompetent administration to go and to vote in another that basically this was the declaring of war. So, by innuendo, he was connecting with the Trump train. And they all jumping on that train. And that train is going to lead them straight to hell. And you're absolutely right that it's divided this nation. I was talking to my wife, Katia, on last night. And I said that Donald Trump has really, really damaged this country. And she said irrevocably, has and irreversibly damaged this thing. It can't. The damage that he's done can't be undone. And that's absolutely that's a travesty to see where we are. I believe it's a whole lot of white fear, Bishop. I believe that white folks never thought that in America they would be the minority. And I don't know how you can come in and take a country for some original people who were here and think that you would never, ever, when you took that country over from the Native Americans, that you would be able to take it over and that country would be yours forever. It wasn't yours from the start. And so this melting pot is going to continue to keep melting. America's going to keep browning. And white folks are going to have to learn how to be a minority. And we can teach them how.
Well, one of the things that you said, that Katia said, is irreversible. But we know as men of faith is that God is still yet in control. And that we know that the Bible talks about the time of the Antichrist. And I said it earlier, I see Trump as the Antichrist, and I see his followers following him and following the Antichrist, knowing that what he's doing is wrong, because you cannot be a person of faith and believe in God and continue to follow lies, and they're known lies, and trying to make the lie a lie the truth. And when the Bible clearly tells us all liars will have their day in the lake of fire, because there is an end game, there is an end game, and there's an end date for all of us, for you, me, him, all of us. But what I really regret more than anything is that you're younger than I am, and I'm older than you. I've seen a lot because I'm older. You've seen some things versus some of the young people that are younger than you, like Sean with Black Push and others. But I really admire you guys for what you guys are doing and coming along and speaking out and being bold and courageous to stand up for truth and to stand up for justice. I really admire you for that, and I appreciate what you are doing, and I commend you and going to continue to work with you to do those things. But for the younger people, I want to say to them, put your guns down. Put your guns down. Stop the violence. Stop the hate. Stop the jealousy. Stop the envy. Let's embrace each other. Let's come into a spirit of unity and in love and working in cooperation to deal with the ills of our society. Because we as men and ministers and women of God, we have to put aside our jealousy, and our envy and our selfishness and our greed, put it to the side, because when you do that, Shannon, you are practicing the attributes and the characteristics of Satan, and you are denying God, calling on his name, but you're carrying out Satan's wishes. And that's what we see. And the devil will come to kill, steal, and destroy, and that's what Donald Trump is doing: killing, stealing, and destroying. I mean, so we see it clearly. We see it clearly. So as men of faith and women of faith, we have to speak out, and we need to work on and continue to work on what seemingly is irreversible, because God can change anything, because God is still yet in control. And so we have to leave it up to him to do his will, but do his part, and do what he's going to do. But we have to be in the right relationship with him for him to do it. And again,
I think that's the key to it. But I must admit to something, as a man of faith, I don't think that the racial divide in this nation will ever be fixed. I just don't. I don't think that there will ever be true racial harmony in this country. And I believe the seeds of how this country came to be they keep rising and harvesting. And I'm a man of faith, but help thy my unbelief.
But as you say that, as we read the Bible, look at what the words say in terms of wars, rumors of wars. It talks about, your nation divided themselves. We know because of Jacob and Esau, and as we go back and look at the Bible and look at how they were brothers, but then how they became being divided even with the families, because what we see now is racial divide between all other countries. We see that America is supposed to be that great melting pot where everyone, no matter what your race is, no matter what your gender is, no matter what your sexual persuasion is, it is a place supposed to be for religious freedom to express your religious beliefs and your religious values. But it's not to tear down anyone. Jesus teaches us to love. So if love abounds, if love becomes again in our society or in this world, period, then all these other things will dissipate. True love, I ain't talking about that, I'm talking about that agape love. I ain't talking about that phileo love. I'm talking about that agape love, because that's what we need is agape love, not phileo love, but agape love.
I agree. Before we jump subjects, I just want to say this, because this is the success of Trump to this date, that this country was founded on religious value, but for white land-owning British men escaping the tyranny of the British crown. The great melting pot that the words where Dr. King had to say, be true to what you say on paper. The thing is the fallacy of it is that those words were not meant for all of us. Those words were meant for the old boy network. And Trump taps into that. And this Trump movement is a white male dominated, white male led movement. That means it's only white men in it. But it's if you just look at who's leading the pack on this, it goes back to those who felt that this was our safety net. And Trump has tapped in to say the safety net is under attack. You no longer have safety. Brian Kemp has grabbed it with constitutional carry. So we're running down there saying, do you know what this is doing in the black community? The reason why he did constitutional carry is because white men and white women are fearing for their lives, and they're looking at the news every day, so they tap into that fear. The reason why why they're having constitutional carry is not so that they can carry those guns to harm one another. Those guns that they're carrying are to protect them from us. So he doesn't care what's happening in our community. He's telling his people, I'm going to let you carry your gun so that you can protect your property and your privilege against them. So, that's what all of this is stoking into, tapping into this fear and stoking the flames of the fire of the fear that bringing a conversation that says that Donald Trump presidency, Bishop Fan, is possible again, right? That January the 6th was a tour, but the FBI serving a search warrant for some documents, that was a raid. That was terrible. That went too far. Oh my God! How did they go and raid? They didn't even have on any FBI jackets. They weren't even armed. The division that went there to do that. But that's so terrible. But hang Pence and kill that B, Pelosi, and I quote unquote, that was them protecting their privilege. But the FBI showing up for records that belong to the U.S. government, that don't belong to a private citizen named Donald Trump, and they don't belong to a Mar-a-Lago. They belong in the federal trust. That was a bridge too far. That was terrible, and we must do something about it. So all of this, this is not a game. This is reality, and it's white men going back to the root of why they came here, to steal this nation in the first place. And that fear, the fear is that protection and that privilege is being taken from them and is under attack. And so there is a civil war that is moving, and it's an ideological civil war that I used to say is not geopolitical but ideological. And that civil war is now becoming physical. Now they're talking about going to the judge's home. That's the magistrate court judge, Bishop, that signed the paperwork that allowed the FBI to go there for a search, not a raid.
But a search.
Now they're talking about going to his home.
Well, let's just.
Did you hear my thing? Did you hear Mateo?
I heard Mateo. I heard
I got my own amen corner, man. I got my own amen corner.
I heard your amen man back there.
He said that was dog. Hold on, let me tell you what that was dog for. You better preach. I was trying to.
You better say it. You better say it. One of the things is that, and I concur. I concur, but you said, but you said I concur, but however, whatever. What I stand is, let me say, what I stand with that is, there are people who are still righteous. There are people who still want to do the right thing, whether they're black, whether they're white, whether they're Asian, whatever. I have the abiding faith and belief. This is because I've seen a lot, I've been through a lot, I've dealt with a lot, and I've seen good people come out of and help in bad situations. And I believe that somehow, some way, some good is going to come out of this. And what the devil means for bad, God will do it for good. He'll only allow Donald Trump and his people to last for so long. Will be hurting it in the short term? Yes, they will. Will people's lives be disrupted? Yes, they will. They will, because it's been like that before. You mentioned Dr. King. Long before Dr. King, that was Vernon Jones and many, many others. Harriet Tubman, Sojourner of the Truth. But there were good people. Vernon Jones. Yeah, but there were good people. There were good people who helped
not
them.
Vernon Jones. Not Vernon Jones.
Not Vernon Jones. Yeah, not Vernon. You know what I call it? I don't even know what I call the surfer's name. The surfer. Jesus Christ! I saw him the other day with Kim. I said, "Oh, geez, he's still surfing." But there are good people though out there. There are good people out there. There are righteous people out there.
I do believe that, and I'm going to keep fighting I'm going to keep fighting to bring what you're saying. I'm fighting to bring the best that we can bring to this country. But I certainly, I'm prayerful about it. But it's like a president that says,
can you stop?
We're going to go fix the Middle East. Are you really going to fix the Middle East?
Hold for a minute. Hey, hold for just a second. Can you be hopeful as opposed to prayerful? Can you be hopeful that things are going to change? Can you just be hopeful? See, sometimes what we have to do is when we pray, we get up and we go to work, right? And we're hopeful that things are going to change, right? Because faith, according to the word of God, faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. So can we just be hopeful as we continue to be prayerful and as we're moving toward bringing about a change? This is your time. This is your generation time. It's your all's fight that you are leading and will be leading, along with Sean and Bishop Lackey and many others that I don't even know their name, but they're out there still yet fighting. But you guys got to come together and be unified in what you're doing to bring about a change and to get people to see that change begins with every one individual. Each individual has to be a change agent. And
I'm certainly committed to that. I'm certainly committed to that. I don't know how to hope that Marjorie Taylor Greene and the thousands and millions of Marjorie Taylor Greenes will ever care to hear my story, will ever care to understand the dignity of my life and my community's life.
Well,
I'm hopeful that we can make some changes in our community.
That was a man by the name of George Wallace. There was a man by the name of George Wallace who stood there, the racist, who stood there, who brought about a change. That was a change that came. There was a change that came. But you know how you do it, you just got to be hopeful. You got to keep working at it. You got to keep on believing. You got to keep on trusting. You got to keep on standing on truth. Because truth crushes the earth, brings about a change. We can't say, and it's true, keep marching on, and then we talking about, well, we just don't know. God has not given us a spirit of fear, but power and sound mind. I know I'm preaching today, but I'm a preacher. I'm Greg Fann, the preacher man. And I'm just saying, there are people who will listen to this program. I don't want them to give up. I don't want them to think that there is not going to be a better tomorrow, because there is. And there is, just like for the children of Israel. They needed a better tomorrow, and they eventually got a better tomorrow, but it began with them individually, themselves, not as a collective group, because everybody can be, as Dr. King said, everybody can serve, but everybody got to want to serve. And
I don't want anyone to hear my words and hear give up. Like, I'm not saying give up.
Right.
But when the children of Israel got to the promised land, they still had Jebusites and Amorites and Jebusites that were there. And
all the other sites.
And all the ites will still be there. So yeah. Please don't hear hopelessness in this. I'm hopeful for a lot of things. But right now, this is straight talk.
Right.
And I don't see it. I don't see it. If I were president of the United States, the first thing I wouldn't do is we're going to go over and work on the Middle East problem, because historically, the rift that's there goes back thousands and thousands of years. And it's a fault line there that's beyond, it's about people seeing people. And they just never did from biblical days to now. And I'm saying that about the original sin of America, of race and racism and hatred. And I think that we continue to stand against it. But Bishop, let's say that we'll remain hopeful. And I'll leave it at that. We'll remain hopeful to keep pressing forward. But remember now, we're how many years past an African-American president who was called everything but a child of God while he was leading this nation. Reverend Sharpton dealt with a little bit of that today in terms of just where we are in terms of a nation and what we have seen in terms of an African-American president, African-American senators, all of that. And yet we still continue to have this original narrative. And it has spikes and things where it gets worse and it gets quieter. But I don't believe that they're all Trump people, because Trump people were Gingrich's people. They were George Wallace's people. They were Bull Connor's people before they were Trump's people.
Well, I would, on that note, I'm going to conclude by saying this. I am a believer. And when I say that, I say I believe. And some people may say, well, you're too much of an optimist. I don't believe we come this far. And I don't believe God will allow us not to be successful in what we do. And yes, again, we'll have casualties, but we must still fight on. And we must continue to fight on. We must continue to speak out when injustices occur wherever they are. Wherever they are. And I appreciate you again, and Sean from Black Push, Bishop Lackey, and so many other young people that I don't know by name that are standing up again and speaking out when things are wrong, and giving encouraging words to people, family members, and those who lose loved ones by needless shootings and killings that we're seeing so many now. But a better day is going to come. I believe it. A better day is going to come. And I also believe that Donald Trump day is destined to come sooner than later. With that ain't nothing but straight talk with yours truly, great fan, the preacher man, and Shannon E. Jones. Hey, we'll see you next week right here on Straight Talk. Don't forget to like us. Don't forget to share. Don't forget to make comments. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And Miss C got it right today. This ain't been nothing but what? Straight Talk.
Oh.
And with Shannon's Amen Man, his dog, Mateo. Preach, preacher. And so Mateo, preacher.
I think he's just trying to get some food.
All right. We'll see you next week.
Want to be a guest on Straight Talk? Email Greg Fan at FANN922@Comcast.net or call 404-308-0795. Join us again for another episode